Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the Professor, and this is the Moment of Truth. And now the Friday Crime Report. Sunday, October 1st, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 9:40 p.m. Philadelphia has a crime problem, but worse than that, it also has a privilege problem. Nikki Bullock found that out firsthand when she was driving through downtown near City Hall. A gang of thugs have been menacing the city, riding their ATVs and dirt bikes through the streets, which is illegal, but when you have privilege, illegality comes naturally. Bullock was driving a delivery for Uber Eats. She had her 2 children in the car, a boy aged 2 and a daughter aged 5. Also in the car was a female friend of hers. The Philadelphia Police Department, like everywhere else in the U.S., are basically useless for anything other than attacking black citizens, so criminality is allowed to run rampant. Because they're just too busy assaulting and killing black folks to worry about small things like literal roving gangs who look like something out of Mad Max. And they allow this to go on literally right under the nose of City Hall. Now that night, while Bullock was trying to make her way through this herd of motorized morons, she came to a red light. When she stopped, one of the hooligans on a motorcycle sideswiped her car. Miss Bullock began to yell at the criminal that he had just damaged her vehicle. He began yelling at her. Having never been subject to the law before, he didn't think the law applied to him. Some of the criminal's friends joined in with him, yelling at Miss Bullock, and that was when the criminal got off of his motorcycle, climbed up on the trunk of her car, and began stomping the rear windshield, first with one foot, then monkey stomping with both feet. His intention was to bust out the rear windshield, which he did, landing inside the rear seat of the car, where Miss Bullock's baby and toddler were at. The rear windshield landed on them. Clearly, this reprobate has done this before, so we can add career vandalism to his resume. As he jumped off the back of Miss Bullock's car, the handgun he had on him fell to the ground. Miss Bullock didn't know that when she immediately got out to defend her children. The thug headbutted her with his helmet and then pointed his gun at her. But she wasn't intimidated. He shoved her, she shoved him back. In fact, she knocked him over along with his motorcycle. That's how these punks are, they're weak as tissue. She then stood to see what the punk would do next. He drove off. Miraculously, Miss Bullock's 2 children were unharmed, though understandably scared that they were set upon by a roving gang of thugs, and one of them stomped in the windshield right above them. Now, this assault was caught on video, but since Philadelphia's dirtiest were predictably of no use, the public had to do the cops' job of finding out the identity of the criminal. Scouring through the video for all identifying information on the thug's clothing, shoes to his motorcycle, tips came in from the public quickly, along with one from the criminal's own employer. This thug had an online presence, but he had been using a fake name, John Carroll, for his social media. But the thug was soon identified by his real name, Cody Herron, age 26. Police were given the information and Herron was arrested on Wednesday the 4th, 3 days after the attack he had carried out. He's currently being charged with possession of an instrument of crime, recklessly endangering another person, and multiple counts of aggravated assault. The furor from the public was so great that even the DA's office and those crooked judges there had to at least look like they were trying to do their jobs. Initially, Herron's bail was set at $2.5 million. He had tried to argue for a lesser amount at his preliminary hearing, but the judge instead raised the bail amount from $2.5 million to $4 million. Now, this is what you would expect to happen on opposite day. Amazing, a criminal actually getting the kind of treatment it deserves. We'll continue with the Moment of Truth in just a moment, but first, a word from the official sponsor of Black Empowerment, Power Tools. There's no telling when something's going to come up, so make sure you carry your power tools at all times. You never know when you're going to need to bring the hammer down, or when you'll have some trash that needs to be blown away, or some obstacle that requires cutting down. Don't get caught empty-handed. Keep your hammer close by. Keep that leaf blower at the ready. And always carry your steel. Power Tools. Because no matter what your day job or side hustle may be, there's no excuse for not being ready to put in some work. Miss Bullock has since gotten her windshield replaced, but regardless, I think she should also sue that creep in civil court. The so-called authorities in Philadelphia say they're going to prosecute this degenerate to the fullest extent of the law. And while the raising of his bail was good, we all know that once the public attention goes away, the usual dirty dealing and minimizing of the case will begin. Now, a question that needs to be asked is, who raised this animal? Where are the parents of this hooligan? This is fatherless behavior going on here. But when you think about psychos like Ethan Crumbley and others with genetic immunity from the law, in many cases they do have fathers in their lives at home. It's usually their fathers who arm these creeps. So where is this Heron character's father at? Most likely somewhere getting ready to carry out a mass shooting. Now, as of this recording, it hasn't been reported whether or not Heron has any priors, but given how quickly and efficiently he damaged Miss Bullock's car, this wasn't his first act of vandalism. He knew what he was doing, and he wasn't carrying a gun for personal protection either. This creep had plenty of practice with his criminality. You can bet this dirtbag has had numerous previous scrapes with the law, and that they were all dismissed or otherwise done away with, because of course they were. It's a disgrace that it took one of these criminals being caught on video attacking a car with young children in it, and the public outcry that followed to compel the authorities to at least make a show of doing their jobs. But what happened to Miss Bullock is not unique. This problem plaguing Philadelphia isn't new, and it's not just limited to Philly either. It's been happening in numerous other cities as well. Keep in mind, this is the same Philadelphia, though, who a few years ago infamously got caught having stopped a black mother who was driving her children home, and then they snatched one of her babies out of the car so they could take a quick picture with the child and then use that picture to lie and claim, "Oh, we saw this baby just wandering in the street alone, unprotected." That mother sued the police union for putting out that lie. So as you can guess, as far as I'm concerned, the police have far more in common with the perpetrator of this crime than they do with his victims. Like that gang of motorcycle thugs, the police are also a street gang, though one that the taxpayers are being forced to subsidize. Now, while I do give Miss Bullock credit, it needs to be remembered these racially privileged punks often initiate these kind of incidents, looking to carry out some sort of racial ambush. When dealing with these roving reprobates, it's always advisable to carry personal protection with you. These criminals are cowardly by nature, and if some gun-toting punk makes the mistake of deciding they're going to threaten the life or safety of your children, well, their career as a street thug just might get cut short. And that's this week's Friday Crime Report. Keep your eyes open and stay on alert, because there's a lot worse criminals out there than the ones the white corporate media chooses to show you. Good day, and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors: Gwendolyn Langston, Eric Bailey, Cloudwalker Z, Ronald Waits, and Sean. Salute to them, and thank you to everyone for listening, liking, and sharing this message. Black empowerment only exists because of you.